Hello and welcome to this DCD talk on speed to capacity in the AI era. I'm Emma Strutton, I'm head of channels at DCD, and I'm delighted to be joined by Scott Smyth, who is the founder and CEO at Soben, part of Accenture, about speed to capacity in the AI era and why industrialized delivery is now the competitive advantage. So thanks so much for joining me today, Scott. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to having this really important conversation with you, Emma.
Thank you. Looking forward to it as well. So, to start us off, are you able to tell me a bit more about you, your career journey so far, and your role at Soben, part of Accenture?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm the founder of Soben. I'm also now a managing director at Accenture following Accenture's acquisition of Soben in March 2025. I'm a quantity surveyor. I've spent 13 years in construction on major projects. And in 2011, I founded Soben. And over time, we became a trusted advisor to hyperscalers, co-location developers, and neoscalers in the data center market. And that growth is really what led Accenture to acquire us last year. Where we are now, we are part of a team of 5,000 global capital projects professionals, and we're combining Soben's commercial, cost, project management, and delivery expertise with Accenture's digital and program capability at scale. So, really exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get us a little bit more into the conversation about speed to capacity, we obviously are hearing a huge amount about this in kind of the AI era that we're in at the moment. So, from your perspective, what do you think has actually changed in the market?
Well, we've all read about the demand. We just need to look at all the mainstream papers and we hear about the demand and the capital expenditure. And in fact, we called that out in our 2026 data center trends report. But it's not just about demand. It's actually, there's a shift in expectations now in speed to capacity. We believe is now a board level KPI. That's what we are seeing. And the constraint has shifted to execution. So it's not capital, it's not land, it's our ability to execute at scale and at speed. That's really the biggest change. And what's really interesting is that most delivery models in our industry are still structured for a sequential delivery phase. So we'll do the design, then we'll do the procurement, then we'll do the construction, then we'll hand over and we'll do the fit out. And given that speed, if you're a developer in the data center space, that speed to capacity is now a competitive differentiator. And the organizations that are going to win in this new world are the ones that design their delivery model for speed but not just trying to push harder and faster using traditional ways of working.
Mm-hmm. And when timelines compress, as you've just outlined, where do you see the biggest pressure points emerging across delivery?
Yeah, so the biggest pressure point isn't now inside the individual construction phases, it's actually where they interconnect. So what we're seeing is that the design, procurement, construction and operation phases are all overlapping. Procurement is happening before the design is complete. So when we think about the design, we have to be thinking about what can be procured and what is available in the timescale to suit the schedule. So it's not we do the design, then we'll go and work out the schedule and the procurement. So really it's about, in many cases, procurement is leading that design process. And what we're also seeing is that commissioning now, quite a significant and super important part of the construction process for everything to work properly. So really thinking about commissioning at design stage and also at manufacturing stage to get things done off site. And the real challenge that we're also seeing right now is if issues do not get resolved at the time, they're getting pushed into the next stage and that's delaying handover. And what I've seen in the marketplace right now is that the most successful programs are taking an integrated end-to-end view where they're connecting that design, procurement, construction, and operations into a single delivery platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to the data center construction industry, we're hearing a lot more about standardization and modularization as a response to this demand for speed to capacity. But do you think that these are now essential to keeping up with demand?
Absolutely. But I think the real shift is industrial delivery, not just standardization and modularization. So if we look at standardization, that reduces design and decision time. We've been seeing elements of standardization in the industry for the last decade, where the hyperscalers have got standard sizes of data center, maybe a 40 megawatt, a 16 megawatt, an 80 megawatt, and we've seen them roll those standardized designs out sequentially in large scale campuses. What modularization is enabling us to do is get parallel delivery. So we're able to look at the civil engineering and infrastructure works commencing on site at the same time as the modules are being designed, built, and fabricated off-site, and then we're bringing those together. So where the industrialization comes in, it's creating that repeatable factory-like model that can be delivered across entire programs and not just on individual projects. And I think back to the key point here is that those that are looking at that step change in delivery are those that are going to succeed. And that's really becoming the new baseline for keeping up with this demand.
Thank you, Scott. And there's a lot of focus on the industry at the moment on going faster, but what risks do you think the sector might be underestimating as it accelerates as quickly as we're seeing at the moment?
Absolutely. I think with the industry focused on speed, there are some new risks that are becoming even more critical than they have ever been. And I'll give you some examples of those. One is misalignment between design, procurement, production capacity in the wider marketplace. We really need to get a grip of that early on to make sure the equipment's available, the capacity's there in the marketplace, and that's incorporated into that design at a very early stage. I think we're also seeing a risk of rushed handovers where we're really trying to go very fast. If we do not resolve problems at the time, they'll be passed on to the next phase. And ultimately, that can mean there's a delay to handover, ready for service and commissioning of the data centre. And then we're also seeing more regulatory factors come to the fore. So carbon accounting, the environmental requirements that need to be considered at the planning and permitting stage, the use of water, the community engagement. So these are all now fundamental schedule risks that weren't really as high profile before when we were operating in a much more sequential schedule. I think ultimately, if you are not managing the entire development program in an integrated way, then these issues have got the potential to delay projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And with speed kind of being now the primary KPI, what do you think good actually looks like? You know, how should organizations be thinking about certainty in that environment?
What I would say is that certainty matters more than perfection in this environment. And I'll give you some key components to what I think good looks like. One is we've got repeatability, so we're not wasting time by reinventing decisions. So the standardization piece really aligns to that. Governance, where we have structured control, clarity of decision making and escalation points, key stage gates. Visibility, where we're seeing real-time insights on the entire end-to-end development. And those insights allow us to act quickly if something's not on track, if a risk looks like it's starting to materialise. And we can also look at, are we allocating those risks to the party best able to manage them? And I think that commissioning, I've touched on that earlier, ensuring that we're really thinking about that at the design stage and getting the appropriate commissioning resources assigned to the project early on. When I reflect, I think what's really amazing is that we're talking about data centres and the demand for digital, the demand for AI use cases. And actually, we've got an amazing opportunity to create an intersection here where we're bringing digital tools and AI to help us build these facilities even faster and with more certainty. So using simulation and digital twins to model power, cooling and performance, and then enabling us to resolve issues in the model and not on site. And I think, what does good look like? It's the best programs that we're seeing are building that certainty from the start by connecting data and decisions right across all stakeholders through the entire life cycle of the project.
Yeah, thank you very much, Scott. And looking ahead, what do you think will separate organisations that succeed in this environment from those that struggle?
I think the differentiator is going to be those that can deliver consistently at speed. So they deliver the capacity on time, faster than ever before, but they still do it at an appropriate cost point and at the appropriate quality. And I think the winners are going to be those that connect strategy right the way through to operations. And we're going to see the winners also having an integrated industrial delivery model from end to end, making quick decisions on real-time info. I think the industry's under pressure to move faster, and the ones that can integrate that delivery end to end and create certainty at scale, they're going to win in this marketplace.
Fantastic. Well, Scott, I will wrap it up there, but thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking to you on this topic, and hope you've enjoyed the conversation as well. So thank you very much for joining me today.
Thanks, Emma.